Welcome back to the Mina Show featuring Lenny, Monday Night Football Recap Edition. Today, Domonique Foxworth of the Domonique Foxworth Show and I are going to talk about Commanders Chiefs. We are also going to pick some winners and woofs from the week. Maybe more of that and less of Monday night because it's not really a game that was very competitive. Well, through the first half, it looked competitive. My first question for you is this. Through the first half, when the Chiefs had their foibles, at any point did you think they might lose this game?
No, I never thought they would lose it, but I thought it was going to be a blowout. And at a certain point, I was like, okay, they'll make it close, which, I mean, it happens so often in the NFL because the talent differential is so small that teams that shouldn't be in games find themselves in games. So I thought, especially we made it to halftime and it was still close, and you saw that Dan Quinn was talking about aggressiveness. I was like, yeah, they got the right mindset, but they just couldn't quite keep it going. And their defense couldn't hold it together either.
I actually thought the Commanders' defense looked a little bit better than they've looked. I think they've made some adjustments on that side of the ball. But, yeah, ultimately, obviously, the dam broke, and then the Chiefs started scoring in waves. Let's start by focusing on the Chiefs side of things, Chiefs offense first. So this is now second week with Rashee Rice, who was a big part of the offense. I think the story of the game for me offensively, and this was actually surprising, Domonique, was it was all Mahomes out of structure in this. Yeah. I thought he was just going to sit in the pocket and dice them up because the Commanders had been so bad versus quick game. And going into this, Mahomes had the lowest time to throw of any quarterback in football. But the Commanders actually did a decent job of taking away his first read. So a lot of the plays he made in this game were him buying time, some of it more magical than others. On throws over 4 seconds, which is extended throws, basically extended plays, he was 8 for 9 for 149 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kind of the story of it for me.
Yeah, all of his touchdowns were over 4 seconds. And, I mean, that's the Mahomes thing. I was talking about this earlier, how it feels like, and I mean, I don't want to overstate like anything about Patrick Mahomes or anything about anybody necessarily, but like Patrick Mahomes reminds me in some ways in his style of play to how it feels like there was a before Patrick Mahomes, that some of these things were like not really acceptable, and after Patrick Mahomes, where it feels like not only are they not acceptable, it's like the Aaron Rodgers thing where Aaron Rodgers was doing it, where it's the scramble and create a player thing, but it was not something that you really looked for now. And if you notice when we do like draft analysis, that's the major reason why Caleb went as high as he did. Is like he was doing things that was so Mahomesy. So it's nice to see Mahomes doing it again and doing it in a not desperate situation as we saw last year. But he still won't stop trying to run people over. You saw that again. He's still trying to run people over.
It's a interesting distinction, right? When he's extending plays, but it doesn't feel desperate. That is because when the offense has struggled, he has tried to make it happen running. You saw this at times last year, even though they made it to the Super Bowl and certainly earlier this season. But it felt desperate. And I would argue the reason it felt desperate is there weren't guys on the receiving end. And that's, I think, another thing that struck me about this one. It was Kelce and Rice all day long. And Kelce, we're so used to seeing Mahomes extend plays and, work from one side of the field to the other, and Kelce finds his way back to him. But I think it's notable that Rashee Rice was doing that a lot in this game, both in the field and in the end zone. DeAndre Hopkins once told me that as a receiver, when you play with a mobile quarterback, you almost have to have 2 plays in your brain at all times. And I had that in my mind while I was watching Rashee Rice, because there were, again, multiple times in this game where he would run his route, maybe win at times, but Mahomes didn't see him or he was not in the right, person in the progression. And then he would do something else to work his way back to Mahomes. And I thought, wow, that connection is really, really important, because I don't know if they win this, or they probably win, but I don't know if this offense is nearly as effective in those instances without Rashee Rice on the field.
So I think one of the things that Rashee Rice brings that's super helpful is, and I think Kelce does this too, is we often talk about being able to attack all parts of the field. And we're saying that implied in that is like, can you get deep? Because of course anybody can get short, but I think we don't take into consideration as much as the ability to work the middle of the field. Because that's also stretching, forcing the defense to cover everything. And that's something that I feel like Rashee Rice does really well, is he's a threat like in the low middle part of the defense and the high middle part of the defense. And Kelce does that a lot too. And he gives Mahomes so many more weapons, or so many more options, I guess. And it is just incredibly stressful for a defense. Like all the things that a defense has to worry about. This morning, I was trying to think from a perspective of the defense, how would I try to stop this team? And it's like I would be aggressive and try to blitz them, but like they're a great screen team too, which that'll get you in trouble. It's just,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why the Broncos are probably one of the more attractive teams as far as taking them on, because they have a great pass rush and they're good in tight man coverage, because those zones, and Troy kept pointing it out during the game, is like the problem with zones, and when Patrick Mahomes buys time, zone's going to break down. It's just
Right.
impossible for a zone to stay like consistent for a broken play for 4 seconds.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes was 10 for 11 versus cover 3 in this game. Rice, all of his targets were versus zone coverage, which is consistent with how he was used his rookie season. Him and Kelce are both answers against zone. Worthy was like the man guy last year. But yeah, I think if you're the Commanders, like there's not really anything you could do. Like if they had played man coverage in this, they would have gotten killed. They don't have the guys to play man. This was it was the right approach, and you just hope you get some turnovers, and they did in the first half. You get Kelce popping one up. Lattimore had that was just a tight window throw, but eventually, like again, the dam broke. I do think Denver's an interesting one, because I would say the Chiefs can really aggressively go after the linebackers, although they did play well this weekend. Surtain, by the way, is not playing in they're going to play in I think 2 weeks, and that's a big game to not have Patrick Surtain. But to put a pin in like the Chiefs offense a little bit, I think the run game is still just fine. You would have liked it to look better against this defense, to be honest. They were decent at times running it off tackle. But I really believe with Rice back in the lineup, I don't really see any weaknesses. The other thing I will add, one more thing on the offense that occurred to me watching this game, like the little check down to Kelce that went for like a zillion yards. That only happens because they actually fear Mahomes throwing deep to Xavier Worthy, right? And I think that's another thing that the Chiefs, they're still not like they're not one of the better deep ball offenses in football. But now, and this is, I would say, actually different from last year, there's enough of a threat of Mahomes, whether it's Worthy or Tyquan Thornton or even Brown, that it's opening things up underneath for Kelce and Rice. And I think they have to continue to maintain, like Patrick has to continue throwing downfield somewhat to maintain that. But I think that element of his game is back, and it is making things a lot easier.
I mean, yeah, it's another variation of the like point that I was making earlier. It's like you need to be able to credibly attack every area of the field. I mean, you don't need to. Like a great offense can do that, and they have all the pieces to be able to credibly attack every area of the field. And they also have playmakers, which is a hell of a luxury to have for an offense that doesn't need necessarily guys that you just give them the ball and they make something happen. They have that too. Whereas so Worthy took that screen pass back. Like these are ridiculous plays, like Deebo Samuel like plays in his prime. He threw him a screen pass and Worthy took it back all the way across to the other side of the field to make a big gain out of it. And you get Rashee Rice and the Wildcat, and you throw him a short pass. Like this is before we even get to Mahomes creating whatever Mahomes magic, and then also his ability to run with the ball when you're under pressure. I think the one thing that keeps this offense from being like perfect is, to your point, the running attack, and also like their O-line, like they didn't face a great pass rush this time. Their O-line,
they're missing some guys in this game. Yeah. I didn't realize that until I think it was like the very first drive. I think it was Daron Payne who absolutely cooked Jalen Moore, who was playing at left tackle. But so they're missing a couple players on the offensive line, and it did show at times. This is, like you said, it's not a great pass rush, but they were able to flush Mahomes. Like he had to make a lot of plays under pressure in this game.
Yeah, we'll see if they. I mean, it seems like they're going to get Simmons back at some point, and there's not really a timeline on that. But he made a big difference when he was there, and I think that'll take this offense to another level when and if he comes back.
Do you think there's anything? Trey Smith was the other player who didn't play, who's like their best player outside of Humphrey. Did you think there's anything like from the Commanders' defense side, before I flip it to the other side of the ball for a second? So like I want to go back to what I said. I do think they actually played better than I know. I understand the score is what it is, but they were competitive for much of the game. I think they've made some adjustments, simplifying things, clearly playing more zone. They move Sanders still outside. They're trying to integrate some of the younger players. Unfortunately, Sanders still was really bad in this game. Sorry. But I thought, like, there were a few players who I thought did impress. I mean, Lattimore obviously had the pick. I thought Johnny Newton was really good in this one. He won, I noticed, quite a few times on the interior and then on that final play where he got flagged for the roughing at the end. But it feels like there might be too many holes on this defense to plug. And, of course, they don't have ammunition for the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely the case, and then you combine it with the offensive limitations that they have when Jaden's not at quarterback, and that's like a death sentence for this team. They fought hard early, and I thought they did well when they played like tight man coverage, but the Chiefs adjusted to that and started to do like tighter condensed formations and crossing routes and started cooking them. It's just the Chiefs have been through so much; they just adapt so quickly. I think you're right. They played better early on, but it's a it's a real difficult thing to assess when you're playing against the Chiefs. And in the first half, I don't know exactly how many possessions they got. I don't know, like 4, and 2 of them were like turnovers. So they were good plays, but it's also like you never really like just shut them down, like stop them. It was like a tip ball interception, and then a really great play on the back shoulder by Lattimore, and then they scored on another drive. I don't know what. I mean, they probably can't have more than 4 or 5 possession in the first half. So then it got to the second half and things got out of hand.
That raises an interesting question for me. I know you mentioned the Broncos, but I want to take a second to think this through. Given everything we've described about the Chiefs' offense, everything that they're capable of now, the way they can attack you in zone, or as you just described in man, with man, it's like that's when Andy Reid really, I feel like, shines as a play caller. Scheme is the Chiefs versus zone. A lot of it is like the feel of Mahomes and the receivers, but versus man, a lot of it is the scheme. Which defense around both conferences?
Yeah, the Texans.
The Texans, you think? Yeah.
I mean, I think the Texans have
they can play man,
and I think the Texans and the Broncos are. Unfortunately, neither team have the offense. I think to be like as scary to like make them a favorite, right?
It wouldn't be a favorite, but I do think there's things that the Broncos offense did that could work against this Chiefs defense, which I guess brings me to that side of the ball. Watching it back, obviously they only put up 7 points. Washington, it's backup quarterback. They failed on a couple fourth downs. But I was watching them thinking like, ooh, this Chiefs defense is gettable. Like Cliff Kingsbury is a smart play caller. He knows what he's supposed to be doing against this. Did you feel the same way watching them attack the weaknesses of this Chiefs defense?
I was stunned at how effective they were early on in the game attacking the Chiefs defense. I mean,
let me look at some of the plays I wanted to. It was a lot of like play action, which Chiefs defense is bad. You want to get those linebackers moving either horizontally or you want to suck them up and beat them over the top. Quick passes to, there's definitely
quarterback design run.
Yes, quarterback design run. They ran zone read with Mariota a few times.
And I think they ran like power with them too, and a sweep with them. Like they were just like
they did run a sweep. They ran, I'm looking up. Yeah, they ran everything with him. The leak play to Bates for that, I watched that because Bates is like their blocking tight end, and they just ran leak with him as play action, and that went for a big gain. And I'm watching that, I'm thinking, this works. Like the other team should do a lot of this against this kid, because I think Kansas City defense pass rush is just okay. I thought Karlaftis had some pretty impressive plays in this one. But, and there's good corners, but the middle of the field, there's definitely gains to be had.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that they aren't perfect. Obviously, they aren't close to the defense that they were 2 years ago. They probably aren't even as good as they were last year on defense. But I think the tough thing about their defense is which situations you're going to find them in, right? So, that. It's so rare. I mean, it's never happened before. They had turnovers on the first 2 drives. and it could happen in some of these offenses, or excuse me, go up against these defenses that we've mentioned. They could slow them down or give them some trouble. But that's also the question is, I think that's why we always end up leaning Chiefs, is because Chiefs down by 10 with a quarter to go is not nearly as scary. So like when you think about, or I mean, it doesn't feel like the game is over. So when you think about the different ways a game could go, there are ways that the game could go that it could be over for the Broncos, or it could be over for the Texans, like by halftime or by a third quarter. Like, so if you say that there's like 10 possible outcomes of the game, like 6 of them have the Chiefs still have a chance to win at the end.
Yeah.
And like you got to be up by like 14 or more. You got to be like up by 3 scores at the start of the fourth quarter for me to be ready to turn my TV off. And so that's why I always end up coming back to the Chiefs. Right. But if like I know the Broncos did come back against the Giants.
Yeah.
But like if the Broncos are down to the Chiefs by 3 scores,
if they're down by 3 scores
at the start of the fourth quarter, it's over. I'm assuming.
I do think that. I do think the Broncos can make it competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, that'll be a game I preview in great detail. I'm excited for it. I do think not having Surtain is big. One more question about the Chiefs defense before we talk about the Commanders. Trade deadline is coming up. Do you think that it's worth trying to add a pass rusher, perhaps? Or... because there's some interesting names out there. I mean, the 2 top names are AFC guys who they won't probably get Hendrickson or Phillips, but there's some Jermaine Johnson I think I saw out there. There's some options out there. Would you do it if you're Kansas City? Would you pull the trigger and try to get a pass rusher?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it always depends on what the price is, right? But like, I think for this team, yes, you're not mentioning anybody that's going to require them to give up like a first round pick. So I'd be willing to do it. I also think that, like, something to bolster the pass rush would help. That's one of the few positions that I feel like, because we talk a lot about these trades, these potential trades, and there's some that I think, like just a guy where I say go rush the passer, that's one thing. Some of these other opportunity or options for people to add to the team, it feels like it's a little bit more complicated to integrate people into a defense to make them better.
There's not any names that really jump out to me. Katie.
I mean, Hendrickson, but obviously that's the point that you're making. That's like, they're not going to
maybe Jermaine Johnson. The thing is, I think they need speed, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's going to be available to them at that position. I think Karlaftis was good in this game, though. He had some and Dana had a few big wins, too. Jones has just not been dominant this year, and I think that's kind of where this is falling apart a little bit, but they're still well coached enough, and they're playing complementary football, so it doesn't matter. The Commanders on the other side. So no Jaden Daniels in this one. To your point earlier, though, like it's not like the offense was non-functional. Like I honestly like watching some of the quarterback play around the league and some of the backup quarterback play. I was watching Marcus Mariota thinking this isn't bad. This isn't actually. So it's just, I think like, I mean, there's a lot. They're not running the ball the way that they were when Daniels was on the field for obvious reasons, and there's just inconsistency with Mariota. Daniels, I assume, is going to be back next week. I mean, what is your kind of state of play, or what do you think the state of play is for this football team right now? Because, they're falling behind, although the Cowboys lost too, that helps, but the Eagles are on the upswing.
The regression prediction is coming true. Yeah. And that's honestly what I think, is I don't think that they are I know that they're not having the season that they expected. I don't expect some sort of turnaround. Like, this is a much older team than you would think, because obviously we think about the quarterback as a team, but like their top 2 receivers are over 30 or close to 30 at least, and their best players or most important players on defense are all up there in age. So it's going to be this isn't working. So maybe they believe that with Jaden Daniels healthy, everything will be different. But it doesn't feel like this year is going to be the year for them. And it might be a dramatic offseason if they want to address some of the problems that they have.
Yeah, next 2 games are the Seahawks and Lions. So it's not getting easier. I think offensively, I'm not terribly concerned. Like you said, there's some age, but they're fine. The line is fine. I think things will be fine. Defensively,
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be a bad This was my biggest hesitation about this team coming into the season. I did not think this would be a good defense, and they've not been a good defense. Obviously, losing Dorrance Armstrong, who was their best pass rusher, hurts. But even with him, this was not a particularly good unit. I think Trey Amos has flashed enough. Like I said, Newton played well. So it's not like they're devoid of young talent. I just think there's multiple positions on this roster where they have to get younger and faster. Because that's what I feel watching them. I mean, I guess I say that, though, but, like, Sainer still is young. But I just didn't think he played well. So they got to I feel like especially if they want to play as much single high as they play, they've got to really change their personnel and really approach this offseason intentionally.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see what decisions they make, what direction they go, if they want to double down on what they have already, like, in place and try to pull one more year out with this, with the aging players that they have, or try to start to bring in a bunch of new young guys. And I think you're right. The offense is less of a concern, but they certainly need to get some receivers to be ready to take over at some point. The defense is less clear. It's not an obvious direction to go. Like, the offense doesn't need an overhaul.
They need a pass rusher. They need a young edge.
Yeah. I mean, right? I think also, yeah, of course. That's one of those things that, like, it's next to quarterback. It's like, or it's something that everybody always needs, and so few teams actually have.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to address. Like, if you're in the top 10, top 15, okay, yeah, you definitely should get a pass rusher. You need one. It's hard for me to say, like, this offseason, you guys need a pass rusher. Maybe they'll be able to attract someone in free agency or do a trade or something like that to get someone that they know will be effective. But if you're drafting a pass rusher to be immediately impactful, like, that's another position. Well, I don't know the stats on it, but, like, it feels like it's a hit or miss position sometimes. There are guys that I can go down the list in my head, because we're talking about Washington. Chase Young comes to mind as a guy that's like, can't miss, got to be perfect. And then it doesn't always materialize in the way that we expect.
I was thinking about the last 5, as you're talking about. I mean, there's been a lot of good edges drafted in the last, obviously, Hutchinson. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of guys, Anderson. Yeah, Anderson. I mean, Verse, Chop Robinson. I don't know. I mean, there's been some pretty good ones, but
Jalen Phillips, you just mentioned him.
Jalen Phillips. It's funny, though, how, like, a lot of these guys are trade options, like Jermaine Johnson, right? We were just talking about potentially Thibodeau. I don't think he's going to be traded. But anyways, tough one for Washington right now. A lot of issues with that roster. I think we both agree. Let's come back. Obviously, the Chiefs going to talk about, they got an upcoming game with the Bills, so that'll be a long one on the preview with this week with Ben Solak. Come back. Let's talk about the winners. All right. It was hard for me to pick a winner. I was deciding between a few. I really wanted to talk about the Eagles' run game, which was magnificent this week. Explosives back. So I was truly considering that. Drake May is perennially in this category, but to go up against a good defense, very impressive. But I decided to go with Jordan Love, which, I don't want to talk out of both sides of my mouth here and say, on one hand, I poo-pooed Joe Flacco for going against the Steelers defense, and then I can't be, over the top with my praise of Jordan Love. But to me, this is like a season-long thing, right? He's been playing really, outside of like the Browns game, he has been excellent all year long. So I think it's just time to take an opportunity and to talk about the Packers offense, because I find it both inspiring and frustrating at the same time.
Yeah, I think I find it more frustrating than you do. But it's hard to find it frustrating after Sunday night. Like, that was.
Well, it would have been hard if you ended the game at halftime. Exactly. Having a very different conversation. Yeah. What? Okay, I know I just said it was a winner.
Right. I mean, the same thing just happened to the Chiefs. It's like, right?
Yeah, the football. It's all 4 quarters. I will say this about the Packers, because I was like trying to isolate, like, what is it that's bothering me so much about this team. I think Matt LaFleur is a very good play caller. I mean, in the second half, he was. Love was amazing, but also I thought some of the play calls were excellent. I also think he needs to take the governor off this offense in this game. Jordan Love averaged 3.6 air yards per attempt on first and second down, which is like barely more than Aaron Rodgers. And on the season, he's 5.4, which is 29th in the league on first and second down. So I think the reason for that, there's probably a multitude of reasons: injuries at skill players, the sense that the offense is very yak-oriented. Their best player is a tight end. Talk about him in a second. And also I think the offensive line was so banged up. I think that's all factored into this. But I also feel like LaFleur thinks his run game is better than it is and is a little bit too conservative right now. And I think that is contributing to some of my personal frustration or feeling that this offense has untapped potential.
And you don't think it has anything to do with Jordan Love, like his
maybe, but Jordan Love ain't turning the ball over, man. I don't know.
Right, I know.
My voice just got so high there.
Yeah, and he hasn't had that problem in a long time, but I do think that it's possible that
like a lack
Matt
of trust.
LaFleur believes that the reason why that problem isn't here is because he coaches the game more conservatively. Like that would be my best defense for Matt LaFleur. I'm here for fun though, so like I'm with you. Loosen it up and let it rip. This is the problem with with winning. I know it's a dumb thing to say, but like
pick you apart.
Yeah. No, it's just like when you're winning, you're less prone to change anything. And they've been winning. And having an eye for the future and trying to make the best version of your team, it could potentially open you up. Like, it's the same conversation we've been having about the Eagles too. It's like, whatever you're doing is not working, try something different. And they're like, we're winning. We're winning. And so like, it's easy from the side to say like, you should be more aggressive and you get more out of your offense. And I've been saying it about the Eagles and the Packers, but I also recognize that if I'm in that spot, like, we got a lot of talent. We're not going to blow this in any way. We're going to try to win as many games as we can. But I mean, I think ultimately I'm with you. With Jordan Love, obviously has the ability to make any throws, so be more aggressive. And they're not running the ball well.
They're just not. They kind of got it going in the second half with Wilson. So, that's something. I think that's one thing that gives me a little bit of pause about this offense. But something that makes me very encouraged has been the return of players like Christian Watson, who, like, I think people forgot is a good player. Yeah. Like, there's a reason why the Packers gave him, money this year. He really opens things up downfield, and you saw that in a way that has been a missing component of this offense. Obviously, they haven't had Reed, and then Kraft, man.
Yeah, it's good.
There's a lot to talk about with Tucker Kraft. I think one thing that is really cool about the Packers offense right now is that their best weapon against man coverage is a tight end. I was thinking that watching them against the Steelers because he had 9 targets, all 8 of his catches and 143 yards were versus man coverage. Now you can watch that and say, well, that's the Steelers. They stink in man coverage, and you would be correct. But this is something that's been the case all year long. He is their number 1 target getter, against man coverage. The only offense similar to that is Trey McBride in Arizona because the offense flows through him too. But like Domonique, like think about it from a defensive perspective. Like how many defenses have linebackers who can cover him in man or DBs who won't get pushed around the way we saw? He's so unique, and it allows them to hunt matchups in a way that not many teams in the NFL can do right now.
Yeah, I mean that's that position and running back, I feel like, are with the way that we've changed, the way that football's evolved, like those feel like the positions where you can find someone, if you can find a special player, you can really like exploit matchups and mismatches. And it's not something that we focus on as much because you want the fast, great, talented, explosive yak or deep threat receiver. And the tight end just isn't where you go. And I think the body types are hard to find too. Yeah. Like the combination of that body type and that athleticism for both running backs and tight ends, I think is pretty hard to find. But we see how it can really open your offense. And there's no easy answer for like Christian McCaffrey is another example of like a person there's no easy answer for.
Right.
Because you'll
have
to like distort your defense in such a way because you don't have a body type on defense, and not only body type, like it's a experience too.
Yeah.
Like people who are bigger and strong enough aren't man coverage guys. Like somebody who's big and strong and can stay with Tucker Craft is like not accustomed to like nuances of route
Yeah.
combination. So it's
You need like Derwin James or Kyle
yeah,
Hamilton or
right.
something.
Kyle
Like
Hamilton.
very few teams have those two players. We got my son, my brother's brother, or sorry, my brother-in-law got him a monster truck for his birthday, like an electronic monster truck, and we get these videos of him riding around the playground just crushing every toy and child in his path. That's what I feel like watching Tucker Craft. He looks like a toddler in a monster truck just mowing over everyone. Also delivered me fantasy victory against Rex Ryan this week. Thank you, Tucker Craft. Okay, your winner, speaking of Kyle Hamilton, is a fun one because, boy, the season is suddenly open.
Yeah, the Ravens had maybe the best weekend of anyone with both the Bengals and the Steelers losing. The Ravens won. And I guess it depends on what metric you use, is like for the rest of the season, I believe the Ravens have the easiest strength of schedule throughout the rest of the season. And they're getting Lamar Jackson back, presumably, on a Thursday night game against
Miami.
the Dolphins.
Yeah, okay, so here are the Ravens' next 7 games. Tell me whether you think they're 2-5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, I know this is extremely obnoxious. I'm going to make you say win or lost. Ready?
You got it. I'll count them.
Okay. Dolphins.
3 wins.
Vikings. J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, win.
Browns.
Win.
So 5-5?
Yep.
Jets.
Win.
Bengals.
Win.
Steelers.
We'll
This could be a weird loss.
We'll give them a loss. We'll throw a loss in there.
Ravens. Or Bengals.
Another win. So we're at 9 wins now.
That's crazy.
I mean, of course, they could lose any of those games.
They could lose any of those games. I know. We're just bear with us.
They're better.
Right?
Just to make the point, they're better than all those teams.
Especially the schedule is soft as hell.
Yeah. Now that they got Roquan back and they're playing better on
he was
defense.
So good this weekend.
And Wiggins is playing like top level corner. At least he did in this game.
What a pick.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I know I saw a lot of people crapping on Caleb, and I was like, okay, but like.
Yeah, it's a tough throw. That's a tough pick to make on a deep crosser right there to have the speed.
I think with the Ravens, we can touch the Lamar side of it in a second, but the pushback will be like, yeah, but this defense has been
better
all year. But yeah, and this is what I want to discuss with you. They have been better. And in the Bears game, I was thinking about it. It's been a couple weeks now, but one of the things that's really caught my eye is how the trade for Alohi Gilman has changed their configuration on the back, just like last year when they mixed things up at the midpoint of the season, because they've basically switched to measuring in big nickel. So they've got 3 safeties on the field, which means that Hamilton no longer has to play free safety, and he can actually affect the game now closer to the line of scrimmage. I pulled these out. These are just from PFF, but weeks 1 through 4, Kyle Hamilton was playing free safety, an average of 35 snaps a game. That's down to under 1 over week 8. Sorry, comparing to week 8. He was in the slot under 10 times a game. Now that's 24. And defensive line has jumped from 5 to 18 because he's threatening as a blitzer. So his utilization has completely changed. And I think they still don't have a great pass rush, but it's allowing them to get back to creating a sense of chaos around the line of scrimmage that's really helpful.
Yeah, that makes it life easier for everyone else. And Green got a sack and looked great doing it. Like he might get better rookie pass rusher. But I think Kyle Hamilton. It's funny that I guess not funny. It's appropriate that you brought his name up when we were talking about Tucker Craft, and we always think about defense and how it responds to offense. But Kyle Hamilton is the type of versatile player that requires an offense to respond to the defense. Like he's a guy that they're aware of where he is at all times, and he has the versatility to protect this defense and to put them in great situations and to take on more responsibility. On the sack, that big play, he ended up sacking, right, where he goes and knocks off.
It was
The
like a
intentional
cross
ground.
dog blitz.
Yeah,
It's an intentional grounding. He comes screaming through. That
right.
was I went like I gasped watching it.
It's just not normal stuff that he can
Yeah.
do, and they're not scared for him to be in man coverage or anything. So like, there's nothing. The point I guess I'm trying to make is the way that defenses approach a game, like stressing about what are we going to do with Tucker Kraft. Like offenses have that same problem. Like the Ravens have a weapon now that before was just stuck in the middle of the field trying to break up deep balls.
Yeah, now he's back to being a chess piece for them and a matchup weapon, and even like if he doesn't blitz, just put him in the line of scrimmage changes everything. If speeds up quarterbacks, changes protections, all of that. It actually, I was thinking like watching them this week, this is probably what they envisioned before Darius Washington got hurt when they drafted Malachi Starks. And then the Darius Washington injury was sneaky big because he was really good last year at safety. And I think then they said, okay, cool, we'll just have him play safety. But you see why they traded for Gilman.
Right.
And, the Ravens, I just feel like that front office and coaching staff clearly work very closely together in terms of the types of players they go after. And it was an interesting player trade, but it's already, to me, bearing fruit. I do think, to put a wrap on this team, they still need to add to the defensive line.
Yeah.
So that's a team I would watch for both edge and defensive tackle. I would look to improve there. Yep. Speaking of defensive linemen.
Woof. Myles Garrett only had 5 sacks. Bad performance. He should have had 7, tied the record. No, I mean, I think, honestly, my wolf for Myles Garrett was just more about how sad it is to me. And I actually said this at the beginning of the season to Charlie on my show, just like how I think Myles Garrett would be in the conversation as like the greatest defensive player of all time if he had like some real playoff moments.
Yeah.
Like he's as good as anybody and as impactful as anybody in the game. Like I really can't think of players who are like definitively better than him. The only thing for him is like he's never or rarely in meaningful games, and it's fun to see him completely unleashed. It's unfortunate that you still get blown out somehow. And the great thing, I know you watched the tape, but when I watched the tape after knowing he had 5 sacks, watched all his pass rush snaps, there are some videos I texted you some the other day where it's like
it's not even a sack. And
there's some videos where there aren't even, or some plays where there aren't even sacks, and it's like even better pass rushes than other ones, and just impactful. It's amazing and incredible. And I hate hearing people say that he can't complain or we shouldn't feel sorry for him just because he got paid. Like that shit pisses me off.
Well, that's what I wanted to say. Like, no one is saying he lacks free will and he didn't make that choice. We're saying that as observers of football, we would prefer to be watching him on a competitive team. So just don't complain. Anytime you bring up Myles Garrett, people are like, he chose the money. Yeah, okay. I'm not saying he got tricked or anything. I'm merely saying it sucks to watch. Yeah. This game was crazy because he was absolutely dominant, but there was like drives too where you would have a sack on an early down and then the drive would just continue. It wasn't, because
kill the drive. Yeah,
it's crazy. And credit to Drake May, who was absolutely fantastic in the second half of this game, and Josh McDaniels, who I thought really made some nice adjustments. And obviously we're gonna talk about May a lot going forward, but yeah, the Garrett. I mean, this was an insane. Matt Hamilton posted the last player to have 5 sacks and a loss was Derek Thomas 35 years ago in his 7-sack game. It's. I actually thought I texted you this. The other pass rusher, Alex Wright, had some really good reps too, but it just didn't. And I guess the May contrast has to even hit harder. I heard Garrett complimenting May after the game because like on the other side you're like, oh, that's what happens when your team actually hits on a quarterback. Everybody's having a great time. Again, no one is saying that Myles Garrett didn't enter into this decision of his own volition, just saying it's going to go down as one of the all-time like potentially wasted careers because he's the best defensive player in football.
Yeah.
It's like very obvious to me. Yeah, I mean, Parsons is amazing.
Yeah, but the combination of strength, speed, size, quickness, like
I mean, he's
athleticism.
always had a Euro step, but like this year, I feel like there's something about it that's just like it does not make. I watch it in slow motion over and over, and it does not physically make sense to me.
So powerful.
Crazy. The Browns. How soon do you think we see Shador? Get our Shador and
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, 2 more weeks. I don't know.
yeah.
It's yeah, and I guess we're just gonna see him. Like I also don't think that it's gonna get much better.
Yeah.
No reason to believe that things are gonna get better. Like he's gonna need some more support than he's gonna receive.
Next week they have the Jets. The Jets could have been a winner.
Yeah.
Not the Jets. Justin Fields and Aaron Glenn.
Yes. Big winners.
I feel like the Woody Johnson going after Justin Fields comment received about a 90% disapproval rating amongst. I did see some people defending it.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the defense is, man.
The defense is like, well, everybody's criticizing Justin Fields. We're not his boss.
Yeah.
Do people? That's a pretty odd big distinction.
Yeah, that's what I don't see.
It'd be like if the president of ESPN gave a press conference and was like, Mina Kimes really did not show up to her podcast this week. I'd be like,
yeah. And I don't know. Woody Johnson's obviously been around the game a long time.
It doesn't happen. Yeah, this doesn't happen.
It's just like it's abnormal. If this was customary, it's like how fights are okay in hockey. Like, yeah, but if it happens in another sport, it's not okay. Like this is not a football thing to do. It's just not what you do to your teammates. Especially if you are. We notice coaches every week just lying to our faces, like, no, we are complete confidence. Like, please do it. That's what you do. That's your job.
Analytics king Aaron Glenn.
Oh yeah, that was so cool. After he's been criticized for his coaching and game management issues, he pulled off the early
2 down 8
for 2. Yeah.
I asked Seth Walder, who is our excellent analytics person at ESPN, for the latest numbers on going for because okay. So for those who don't know, essentially you're playing the odds. If you're down 8, you're gonna have to score. You're gonna have to score another touchdown. So you have 2 shots at a 2-point conversion. You're betting that your chances of converting at least one of those are dramatically better than missing twice. And if you convert the first time, as the Jets did, you can win a regulation. There you go. That's your explanation for why they do it. I did want to know what the actual odds were because I didn't know if it's gone down, and it hasn't that much. He said your odds of converting the first one are just under 50%, which means your odds of converting at least one of them are about 70%. So your odds of missing both and losing are under 30%. So you're basically playing that, that math, which is is that a clear way to explain it? What do you think?
I mean, I think that it definitely makes sense to me, but I knew it beforehand. It might be harder for people to follow, but it doesn't matter. The point is, it's counterintuitive, but it's the right thing to do, and Aaron Glenn did it.
I'm trying to shorten it to your odds of converting at least once are significantly better than missing both. So, and you can win. So, yeah, he won. Good for him. Shout out. We love an analytics king.
And it's nice that they finally won. It
is nice that they finally. I watched the whole post game too. I had it on. I don't remember. It was the morning game, and I kept the whole. I wanted to see them all celebrating.
My sophomore year in high school, we won the last game of the year. It's the only game we won.
Did you celebrate? Did you cry after?
I did not cry. I was very happy though. It felt like we won the championship.
Yeah, the Browns. Dang, who will I pick? I don't know. That's a tough one.
8-2 the next year, in case you were wondering.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't. The Cowboys are my woof. Got dissected, sliced up, annihilated by Bo Nix. They're my woof for a couple of reasons. I thought the offense. It actually kind of reminded me a little bit of You and I always talk about this is relevant to the Browns conversation. When a good defense is just I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
With a bad offense, this felt a little bit like the reverse to me. where the offense was like Dak was pressing, and you're just like, oh, how much your defense sucks, and it's like infected the whole team. That's how I felt watching the Cowboys
Also,
offense in this one.
I know that the Cowboys have a dramatically worse offense on the road than at home, and I guess I've assumed that that's because of how much of their offense is relying on Dak's control at the line of scrimmage. I wonder if that had something to do with it also, because I mean, I don't know why else the offense would be that much different on home and road. They go down by points, but it did also like that seam throw that Dak I feel like might be the best in football in. They got intercepted. That robbed us of the 70-yard field goal attempt. Like that was so un-Dak like. Like no one throws that pass better than him. It was very bad. He does feel like a lot of pressing from them.
Good play by Jahdae Barron, the rookie who hasn't played a ton. I think they're the bigger whiff because the defense just doesn't feel fixable to me. I think it's similar to the Commanders, but worse. There's just too many holes right now to plug. I mean, Jerry Jones said it correctly, like, we need multiple players. It's like, okay, well, you're not going to add multiple players. So it feels like, I understand that this is coming off a bad offensive game, but it feels like it's going to be a waste of an offense that we do all agree has a very high ceiling at minimum, but I don't feel like it's going to matter because of this defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think the offense does have a high ceiling, and they're fun to watch when things are clicking and working. But yeah, the defense is so unbearably bad.
I mean, they're really hurt too. I wanted like there was a corner in this game who I had never heard of that they went after, like 12 Bridges. I want to say his last name was Bridges. Did I get that right? Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, guy.
I mean, I guess the injuries matter, but also this defense is just bad.
Yeah.
They were bad last year. They're bad this year.
The funny thing is, like, the pass rush is actually not that bad. It's like,
that's
even though they traded for Micah Perry.
Yeah. That's what Jerry will tell you.
It's like everything else.
But you can't stop the run. And so, yeah, that team is in bad shape. So
you know what? Okay, so just because we got through Monday night pretty quickly, let's take a little bit extra time and do a bonus winner and talk about the Eagles, because I just looked at the schedule and I realized I forgot that they have a bye, so I'm not going to be able to talk about them this week with Ben Solak. What to you was the most impressive part watching the Eagles offense this week? Because I thought it was their most impressive game of the season. It was the most balanced that they've looked.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's hard to ignore it might be low-hanging fruit, but they had the explosives back with Saquon running the ball. That was the hallmark of how effective their offense was last year. And everything kind of sprung off of that, is that they could sneak in these explosive plays. And he got that big, long touchdown run. I mean, Tank Bigsby even had a couple 10-plus yard runs. Like being able to – and they kind of changed their blocking scheme a little bit. They put last year they were more like road graders, and now I think they're using a few more angles and pulling. Not that they always pull their center a bunch, but it seemed as if they were accepting that they're not going to just push people around like they did before, and they're going to have to be more scheme dependent on the run game. And it worked in this game. It's the first time it's worked all season. Hopefully it'll keep going. But if you ask me what's the thing that stands out from the game, what's most impressive, is that they're back, because Saquon is no different to me, really. Like he was making something out of the attempts that he had in the past. I mean, he wasn't perfect.
It was not the issue, yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't.
I will say, I think that the shift to the more downhill gap run game is a better fit for Saquon at this point in his career. To me, he looks his best when he's not moving laterally. So I think it's a better fit for the line, to your point. I think you're absolutely right about that. But I also think Saquon himself is more likely to get explosives. And it was the right thing to do against, a Giants defense where like the DBs could not tackle. So they're like, cool, we're going to run duo at you like a lot. And it was really effective. They also, have continued to build out the play action passing attack off of the under center stuff. That's something I'd like to see expand. I was just saying this because we were talking about it NFL Live today. We were talking about how Devontae Smith, who was unbelievable in this game, was working the field on the in-breakers, and has such a great feel for zone, right? Again, on those play action concepts. But then I was thinking, like, A.J. Brown was maybe the best play action receiver in the entire NFL for 3 years with Tennessee. Why can't they run crossers and digs with A.J. Brown, who through those 3 years led all receivers in yards per route run off of play action? It seems to me like that should be on the menu. Just going to throw that out there.
I don't get it. I mean, it's always kind of frustrated me. I was looking at this with a bunch of the top quarterbacks, like how often they attack the middle area of the field. And it's pretty frustrating watching this team avoid the middle of the field. Like, I don't know why they're not comfortable with it, or avoid the middle of the field through the passing game. I don't know why they're not comfortable with it, but like that's something that it feels like money that they're leaving on the table, especially when you run the ball as well as you do. Like the people who are going to be most sensitive, or run the ball as well as you did last year, or run the ball as often as you do now, the people that are going to be most sensitive to that are the safeties and linebackers. So you want to attack that spot. It hasn't made sense to me. And I still don't get it. Maybe at some point they'll figure that out.
I also think linebacker is like the weakness for a lot of good teams around the end, as we kind of talked about today. So to go back, like, let's say we get a Super Bowl rematch. You gotta run under center play action over the middle field against the Chiefs. So anyway, something to monitor. I know the Eagles, it's like always sounds like we're nitpicking. We're nitpicking because you should be a Super Bowl team, but I thought the offense looked great. The run game looked better, which looked amazing, by the way, which was very exciting to see. I thought Patullo called a great game. It felt like he had all the right answers. Hurts was really good, so things are trending in the right direction. Another team that should trade for a pass rusher, Philadelphia, by the way. I would keep an eye on them.
Everybody.
Pass rush is not good enough right now. All right, that's it for today. Domonique Foxworth, you can check out on the Domonique Foxworth Show. I will be there. I will be back on my own podcast later this week with Ben Solak, who returns from his paternity leave to help me preview Week 9.
Awesome. Bye.